Hi everyone, this is Aaron for Zollotech, and I wanted to share with you some battery saving tips for your iPhone. This applies to iOS 7, so that means iPhone 4 and up, and in particular this is an iPhone 5S. So you can see it looks pretty normal. You have your normal grid of icons, but there's some things you can do in your settings to optimize your battery life. One of those things is make sure you have Wi-Fi enabled. Wi-Fi takes less power than your 3G, 4G antenna that communicates with cell towers. So you want to make sure that's on if you're in an area with Wi-Fi. If you're not, you can shut it off. Same goes with Bluetooth. If you're not using Bluetooth, simply shut it off. In this case, it's on. You can just tap on it. It will turn back off. The other thing you want to take a look at is your brightness. Now again with iOS 7, this is simple. We slide up from the bottom and we have this slider. This is our brightness. We can adjust that and it makes a big difference when it comes to battery life overall. Now those settings are also here as far as brightness goes, and you can see it's under settings, wallpaper, and brightness, and we can have auto brightness, which is the optimal way to get the best screen brightness for the environment you're in. There's actually a sensor up on top that senses ambient light and adjusts the screen accordingly. However, if you want to really save battery life, just turn it off, slide it way down, and you'll save a lot of battery life. Then when you can use it again, just turn it back on, slide it back up. That should help as far as overall battery life. The next thing is fetching data less frequently. That means email and other things that may use your data. In particular, email can be set up multiple ways. I have multiple email accounts, and if I go into my Apple account, you can see that I have all of these different things on, but what really makes the biggest difference is right here where it says fetch new data. Right now I have it set to push. Push uses the most amount of power because anytime there's a new email message, it will shove it directly to you. Some people would argue otherwise, but according to Apple, this actually uses more data than if you were not on push. So if you go into these individual settings, change it to manual, that's where you'll get your best battery life. But you could also change it to fetch, and then you can change it to how often in settings elsewhere. Down below, you can see those are the fetch settings. It will check for email every 15, 30 minutes, hourly, or manually. Again, you'll save the most battery using manual. The other types of notifications that use power are push notifications for different apps. That's found under Settings and Notification Center. And here you can see, here's all the different notification settings. And if we scroll below, you'll see all the different apps that use notifications and push notifications. The more of these that you have turned off, the more battery you'll save. So some of these apps will use more than others, but if we go into here, you can see Show in Notification Center, Show on Lock Screen, turn all of these off, and it will actually save you some battery. Now, it's not going to save you a ton, but it will save you some according to Apple. The next thing we want to take a look at is your location services. Those actually turn your GPS antenna on and use quite a bit of power to locate your phone, or in turn locate you. And you'd use that for things like maps. So you'll go again into settings, and then under privacy, you'll see location services. Now you can turn them off as a whole. Just tap on it and turn all of them off, and that will shut off the antenna basically for GPS and save you some battery there. However, if you want to turn it off individually, such as for the camera, you can just turn it off. Now the camera will only turn location services on when it tries to take a picture and locate you, should you have that option on. Otherwise, you're just not going to use it. So you can see all of these things are on. Some of them I have off. Different things use more data. Find My iPhone. I want it to stay on in case my iPhone gets lost or stolen, then I can locate it. So some of these things you may not want to turn off. And just as a side note, this little arrow here indicates what used it last. A purple arrow will indicate what was just used. Gray indicates whether or not it's been used recently. One thing that greatly affects your battery life is your connection to cell towers that are nearby. So you can see right here I have 4 bars of AT&T, or 4 dots in this case. That makes a big difference. The less you have, the more power your phone needs to communicate with that cell tower, meaning it's at a further distance. So that will make a difference. Now, if you want to shut that off altogether, you can just turn airplane mode on your phone. Now, when that's on, you won't receive calls or texts or anything like that, but you will save a lot of battery if you're in an emergency and need to save the phone for some reason. Now, most of the time I wouldn't recommend that, but you can change different modes under cellular and turn cellular data off, for example, which will save you a little bit of battery should you be in a pinch. But most of the time, you're going to want to leave those on. One of the newer features in iOS 7 is background app refresh. What that means is if you double tap the home button, here's all of the different applications that I've opened recently, and some of those use data in the background. That will actually use some of your battery. So you can turn that off if you'd like, and you do that by going to Settings, General, Background App Refresh, and you can either turn it off entirely or turn it off for specific applications. So you can see I shut it off for Redbox and Stocks, but others I've left on. So those are things you would want to consider to help you with battery. All of these tips have been derived directly from Apple, and I'll leave a link to that page in the description below. Now, one of the things I get asked a lot is when to plug the phone in, when can I charge it, when can I unplug it, what will affect battery life. According to Apple, none of that really matters. Plug it in when you need to charge, unplug it when you need to use it. One of their old tips, though, said to run the battery down and recharge it about once a month for long battery life. So meaning bring the phone all the way down to 1% or 0, plug it in, charge it right up back up to 100, and that should extend battery life. However, on all of their different tip sites on iPhones and everything else, I can't find that tip anymore. So maybe that's not true anymore with the battery that's in the 5 and 5S. Otherwise, just use your phone. I've had one since the original iPhone. I've never had a problem. I plug it in when I need to use it and charge it. I unplug it when I need to go away and use it. So no problems. I've never had an issue. If you have any other tips about battery life that seem to have helped you, please leave those in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.